the chicken and egg problem. Is like you need to have data, have the analytics statistics before you can convince other brands or even creators to come on board and use the application. So it's essentially you need to have the data before you can get people to make the data.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 7th episode of Colors of Web3 and Entrepreneurship. Here I am today with Pavel. Pavel, who's the CEO of koris.io. Pavel, would you like to give a quick introduction about yourself?
Absolutely. My name is Pavel, and as you said, I'm the CEO of Chorus. I guess a bit of background in my journey through Web3. I started in 2017 as a educator. I worked for a company called CryptoChicks, and essentially creating tutorials and essentially walkthroughs of the Ethereum ecosystem in terms of how Ethereum works, what transactions are, and then giving a bit more of a developmental deep dive. And then that progressed into me working for a company called Metis. And Metis is a layer 2 in the, which is a layer 2 of Ethereum. And from there, I worked as the integrations lead. So helping projects out with developmental needs, also same thing, educating them with guides, tutorials, documentation, and essentially being just overall helpful. So yeah, a little bit of a business background, a little bit of a technical background, and then that caused the inception of Chorus. And yeah, taking
Nice.
a bit of that lessons that I learned from the Metis ecosystem and all the projects there, and then building something new and exciting that hopefully can benefit a larger audience.
Awesome. Yeah, actually, I'd like to get to know a bit about your upbringing background before. So, what did you learn in, I don't know, in high school, maybe in university? How did you even ended up in with Metis and also with your first job?
Yeah, absolutely. So in high school, I went there. It was in Alberta and like in Canada. So over there, it was, I guess, just general high school. And then from there, I wanted to be a software developer, so software engineer. And I actually, from right out of high school, I went straight into a polytechnic at NAIT, the Northern Alberta Institute of Technology. So they focus specifically on career development and essentially getting right into doing things. And that's what I like to do. I like to come in, build things, experiments. And then from there, I learned like the basics of creating a software application as well as working and creating like larger software, understanding complex systems, building and extending them as well. So I did 2 years of that. But then
Cool.
for my higher education, I actually went to Toronto, so in Ontario, Canada, for Seneca College, and that was also a practical program.
Mhm.
I got the Bachelor of Technology in Software Development, so essentially also doing
Okay. So computer
practical
science, yeah.
algorithms. Yeah. So like higher level things, and then essentially from that
Mm.
got into a little bit more deeper into the blockchain space. Went to a bunch of meetups, and then actually got my
Mhm.
first job in a lot of in the crypto space was from going to meetups, and then the guy's like, oh, I like your enthusiasm, so come work for me, and then that started the journey.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah. I see. So I guess in Canada back then when you were in university, what year was this? This
Uh,
was
oh wow. I think so. 20. Oh man, I I actually don't remember exactly the year, but maybe like 2013, 2015. So it's a
okay.
little bit
Okay.
away.
Got it. Got it. Yeah. I see. I see. No, I mean the reason why I ask is because I just want to know whether Ethereum has been born yet at that time. I was wondering what sort of meetup were you going to back then. Because I think Ethereum, if I remember correctly, was born in like somewhere in mid 2010s ish, right? In that decade. I forgot the exact year. So it sounds like you were probably, if you went to the meetup at that time, Web3, I guess it would be one of the like first OG meetup type of thing,
Yeah, so I think I went
right?
in
Mm.
2017. So it was like a little bit later. Um,
Okay,
so I think it was like 2 years
I see.
after Ethereum um was like
Hmm.
sort of like Ethereum was live. But there
Hmm.
wasn't a lot of applications that have been developed on it. It was just a lot of theoretical science people that came in and were like, hey, I had this cool idea for blockchain, but not a lot of applications were actively being developed, and um, yeah, essentially
Mm.
people were still wondering like, how can I use this to uh, break
Yeah.
free from the financial system that we have. So that was
Hmm.
a lot of the I guess
Wow.
cypherpunk uh, things were in that.
Hmm. Yeah, movement, right? Cyberpunk movement. Yeah,
Exactly.
nice. So I'm curious. Could you tell us a bit more about like because I think I I mean I got in crypto back in like what 2020. I mean I knew about Bitcoin a bit before that, but officially I guess when I got my feet wet into crypto was 2020. And I think by then we already have quite a good, somewhat of a infrastructure and ecosystem, right, running in Ethereum or many other blockchains as well. So I can't really imagine what it was like in like 2017. Like, was it pretty hard to even, I don't know, I guess you didn't really have like MetaMask back then, I guess, right? Or like many of the things that I guess we take for granted nowadays. Could you tell us a bit like how the scene back then was like? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. So MetaMask existed definitely, but it wasn't like as clean and polished.
Okay,
Definitely didn't have um,
I
like
see.
as good of an experience. Like for example, you couldn't swap in the app like you can today. So a lot of like
Mm,
the on-ramping tools aren't there.
got it.
So you sort of have to figure out like how to get the crypto
Mm,
in the first place, and either you get like airdropped it by some a friend, or um, yeah, there were a couple
mm,
exchanges that exists, and then like one of the OG exchanges was like Kraken,
mm.
um, and then definitely like
Oh,
uh,
Kraken. Okay. Yeah.
the yeah the on-ramping tools that we have today definitely um, it was a
Hmm.
bit more difficult to get onboarded. But it's still difficult. Um, but I guess in the way
Hmm.
where the use cases are still limited to the applications in crypto. So you kind of like the applications that are built,
Hmm.
the crypto applications that are built right now are solving problems that
Mm,
are crypto native problems, not really extending past the crypto world. Although, of course, there's other projects that are looking to
mm.
extend that and make it more um, non-crypto focused, or bringing Web 2 into Web 3 as well.
I see. Wow. Interesting. Yeah. And back then, was it? I guess was it more about like was it less GUI graphical user interface and more about like terminal usage back then, or was it? Would you say that back then it was already like, was it blockchain explorer and or was it more like you have to copy paste and oh no, not copy paste, but you have to go and do some sort of special command to figure out what happened on the transaction?
Yeah, I guess you can use a node like Geth, of course, like existed like since the beginning,
Mm,
and then there was other
Yeah.
clients that you can use to like investigate blockchain transactions. But during the time that I got on, Etherscan was live, so you can see transaction information and all of that
Mm.
through like a virtual interface. Um, but definitely
Mm.
it is a bit harder to wrap your head around if um, like for me, since I had to educate like what is a node, what is like how do you interact, how do you view like these transactions, I had to
Mm.
set up a node myself and then just see like how everything operated, and so I can see definitely how difficult it is to set up, because you not only have to know like a lot of the key aspects of like networking and everything to set it up, and you need to also have like a little bit of a beefy machine. But
It is true. Yeah.
during actually during the time
Yeah.
Ethereum didn't have like a lot of data in the as it currently
Mm-hmm.
has. I think like right now it has like 500 700 gigs of data, but back then it didn't have a lot. So there was
Yeah.
actually a browser with, it's like a built-in full node. It's called
Mm.
Mist. It's deprecated now, but yeah, people were running essentially full browsers
Yeah.
that with full nodes that were able to like access all transaction information. But now
Mm.
everyone just relies on like a third party like provider like Infura or Alchemy to just access like node information.
Mm. That's true. Wow. That's I guess times have changed a lot, right? I think even just when we are now like 6 years in, yeah, 6 years since you first joined the Web2 and Meetup, and then yeah, now I think we have quite a lot of infra now, and hopefully, yeah. So anyway, I'll save some of those questions for later during the show. Can you tell us more a bit about like what you do outside of work? What are your hobbies? What do you do for fun?
Sure, yeah. For me, I would say like work, business and pleasure are a little bit of intertwined. So when I worked for Metis, I went to different conferences and essentially gave presentations um, on the infrastructure, on just getting started development, and then also just doing general business development. So I had to know a little bit about each segment and what we needed at the time. So I had to communicate with like node providers, I had to communicate with developers, I had to communicate with like protocol developers as well, like essentially to build up the current infrastructure that Metis had. So a lot of it was doing research, development, um, and then just understanding um, systems from the point of what do we need and what's the best way to get it, like what are the solutions out there. So I guess that's what I like in a sense, to figure out like solutions
Mm.
that
Okay.
can be used to enhance current systems. And so that's what I did for work, and that's what I do in my free time as well. Just wanting to know the
Oh wow.
space in a little bit more in depth. Um, yeah. So yeah, like I don't know how I'd be able to do it if I didn't enjoy doing it,
Mm.
because it's definitely like past a
I
full time
see.
thing. Yeah, my hobbies is in a sense
Mm.
like work, just a little bit extended. Right now, at least, it's going more into like the ZK part. So
Mm.
I'm taking like a ZK course
Okay.
at Encode, and then I'm also diving deep into a lot of like the different types of ZK systems, because I think that a lot of the future applications will be built with
Mm.
that ZK component. So just like how Ethereum was the like the creation of Ethereum really took off different types of applications within the Ethereum ecosystem, and then even past that, um, ZK will also
Mhm.
take off in that same way. Privacy as well as verifiable computation is like a big aspect in the space, and that'll be like its own like I would say like golden age.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So I think you're probably the first guest that actually have told me that like your hobbies. When I asked the question like, what are your hobbies outside work? You actually said your hobbies are Web3. So you're like, I can see that you're like extremely dedicated to Web3. Spending both your working hours and also your like non-working hours, or maybe there's no definition of working hours, right? Yeah, it's just all mixed in one. Yeah, oh, that's very impressive. And by the way, I attend the Encode bootcamp. I think it was back in August. So I mean, we can talk a bit more about that later, or maybe outside of this if you want. Yeah, I think it was a really interesting bootcamp for me. That time when I attended it. Yeah, and I hope you're enjoying that as well. I think it's what's great about it. It's free, right? It's free, and also they trying to teach a lot of these very advanced and high level material, very difficult concept actually. And I have one question, but actually, this is not a question for myself, more like a question for the audience, because people would probably have trouble understand like what is zk. So like, can you explain to us what's the definition of zks and how we can use it in real life? Give some examples.
Sure. So ZK is zero knowledge. So that's I would say there's like a lot of applications to that. So how do I describe it? Like it's like a its own type of, I would say, application to one, be able to prove in a way that certain types of computation occurred without revealing the actual computation itself. So an example that I give is or that I've heard of is you're going to a bar and you're showing your ID. The bouncer just needs to know, hey, are you over whatever the legal drinking age is. So, but in this
Let's
case,
say 21. Yeah.
to 21 or 20 or 18, whatever. Uh, you give them your ID, and that ID reveals everything about you: your name, your address, your date of birth, your everything. They just need your date of birth, but they have all of that information. And the current way to do that is, you hand them your ID, they verify, make sure it's legitimate, and then they check your date of birth, and then you're entered in. But obviously, that's sensitive information. You don't want to give that out to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
What a ZK proof or zero knowledge proof does is that we can just take we can answer one question, which is, are you over the legal drinking age? And you can provide a proof without revealing that information. So it's either a yes or a no. And so, yes, I am over the legal drinking age. And so you don't even need to reveal your date of birth in that case. So they don't even know how old you are, but they just know that you're over 21. So in that way, you can provide that information without revealing your identity. And that itself is a very powerful tool, because you can not only just verify like the information stuff that happened, but also be able to verify that I did run this algorithm or I did run this computation without needing to have that computation. And that can reduce the size of, or reduce the processing power needed to run different applications for just anything really. So I can essentially do like provable computation with like IoT devices, which are everywhere, like security cameras and Raspberry Pis. And so I can run that computation in anywhere in a verifiable way with these zero knowledge proofs. But hopefully that gave a little bit of an insight to the power. But I definitely am not
Yeah.
giving it the credit that it definitely is like its own subject of like application. So
Hmm.
hopefully I gave it a little bit of a taste, but definitely there's much more and much more fields in there.
Yeah. For sure. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. And I'm probably going to leave a link up here for my last episode when I talked to Chi Chuan. He was actually the technical lead of Nethermind. We also briefly talked about ZK a bit in the last episode. I'm going to just link it up here. But anyway, without further ado, would like to go into your current company, koris.io. If you'd like to tell us more about the company, and feel free to share your screen for anything that you already have for your current company.
Absolutely, yeah. I guess I'll briefly go over the what Chorus is without the sharing the screen, and then I'll go dive deep because then I think like it'll set the
Sure.
stage. Um, Chorus is
Sure. Yeah.
a application that distributes rewards to creators, specifically on the content that they post. So we take um, essentially tweets that are submitted by creators and match them with brands that need additional promotion, that are looking to have their content promoted in various different ways. So, for example, a brand comes in and says, hey, I want to promote this launch of my application. My application is here, and it's a new feature. Essentially, like let's say it's a calculator, and I added the ability to 1+1. Yay! I want a lot of people to talk about it, so I am going to reward creators with bounty-based submissions. So they can create tweet threads, they can create blog articles, they can create videos, they can create any form of content that is relevant to that product launch, and they will get compensated in a programmatic way. So this means that when they submit the content, they will get rewarded based on the time that they submitted, based on the current reward rate for the submission, and then they would get that corresponding reward at the very end of the campaign. So hopefully that a lot of words, but to condense it into a succinct
Yeah.
sentence, it's a programmatic influencer marketing. But that's obviously very jargony. So hopefully that explanation had a little bit of that, gave a little bit more insight.
I see. And what's the meaning behind the word koris.io? How did you come up with that word? Is there a meaning behind it?
Yeah. So chorus, that was it honestly took a little bit too long to think of the name. Before it was like, well, but I'm glad that we did, because otherwise it wouldn't be as representative. Chorus essentially means that people are like a chorus. They're working together, and they're voicing together in harmony. And so it's like a if you have a lot of people that say the same thing, and it'll sound better. So that's the meaning behind it, is that you can have a lot of people talking about similar things, and then all of them talking together creates a better image for the brand.
I see. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I think that's a good play on the word. Yeah, chorus. Yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
And then
I like that. Yeah, so harmony about the brand, and then and it sounds like it's it's very, since it is programmatic influencer marketing. I suppose like a lot of the metrics, right, that are set out will be automatically executed in a way, or maybe you will go through that, I guess, during your presentation.
I can
But I'm kind of
actually
curious, right? It's a metrics, and then
I can actually showcase a bit of this and
sure.
just go over how this works. Let me just share my screen
Okay.
very briefly. Do you see the screen?
I think it is loading.
Just loading.
1, 2 in 3 seconds. Yes, now it's good. Yeah, now we good.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So this is the main page. As you can see, we had a lot of support from the Metis L2 for the promotions here, but this can be available to basically any brand looking to promote the content here. And I think we did do the promotion for just off the top of my head, I was Village DAO, yes. So we'll actually go into like the Village DAO campaign that was done, and then showcase how that looked like, and what was rewarded here. So
Okay.
if we go into here, we can see just the various different types of posts and submissions and bounties. We have the initial bounty here. So how this all works? CryptoChicks or Village DAO comes in and creates a bounty pool. So this is the reward that is being distributed to all of the creators that submit. So they put in 350 USDC in this initial pool. The the bounties right here are created at a specific reward rate. And as you can see, there's streamed at $25.83 per day, streamed at $12.96 per day, and then this is at $600 per day. To give you just a reference point, this amount is based on the overall reward rate, and it translates to when the person submits the content, they will be paid out at that rate per day. Let me just actually go into one of these bounties, and then hopefully that'll showcase a little bit better. So over here,
so I suppose Crypto Chicks or Village DAO came up with all the criteria, right?
Yes.
Also all the metrics as well, right?
Exactly. So there was different types of submissions that occurred. And then in here, we specify, okay, how Village DAO provides value is one of the bounties. And there is a description for the bounty. Share your thoughts on how Village DAO specifically provides value. And then we have some required keywords that the influencers have to include within their submission to be accepted. And then we also have the minimum amount of views that are present for this submission to be accepted and for the rewards to be streamed to them. And here's where the streaming rate comes in. The people here were streamed at roughly $1.12 per day. And so we can see the number of submissions that occurred and how much they were streamed for the content that they posted. And so we can see these different types of submissions. So some of them earned $7. The different people earned different amounts based on when they submitted. So of course, the person that submitted the latest would be rewarded more than the person that submitted it the earliest. In addition, the submissions here all can be reviewed and tracked. And then we can do a analysis.
Track on the blockchain, right?
So they're tracked within our system. So because the tweets are submitted, we can see the sorry, let me just go to this submission here. And then we can see this person had 91 views for the content. And then they essentially have a tweet thread that outlines the overall event. So we can come here and pull all of the metrics from all of the tweets that are submitted, and we can calculate how much engagement and impressions that the content has produced for the campaign. And then we can accurately track if the campaign met the required engagement goals based on the rate that was set. So if I go into here, Crypto Chicks Village DAO campaign, and then I click, for example, like view metrics, I'm able to see the individual submissions that occurred. And then I'm able to see a breakdown and then the retweets and then impressions over time. And then we can see how the impression breakdown and the overall engagement rate, retweets, replies, quotes, likes, etc. And then
wow, this is really cool. Yeah. Just curious here for all the numbers here. Do you get like a Twitter API something to access this, or
yes. So
how do you get these numbers to display on here?
So we do use the Twitter API, and we do based on the results from the Twitter API, we add up this information. So this is live information from all of the submissions that occurred. Let's see if I go back.
Nice.
Actually, back to Village DAO. But every single campaign has this information tracked, so you can see when the campaign actually got submitted and created. Another feature, right, is the streamed bounty and remaining bounty. So the Crypto Chicks put in $350 and they were streamed $325. So this means that they spent not their entire budget, but a portion of their budget on the overall campaign. The remaining,
so they have like $25 left.
Exactly. So this $25 they would be able to withdraw, and so this is basically money that they would get back. And I mean, it's their money. They can put it into another campaign. They can essentially use it elsewhere. So this application is entirely performance based, based on the I would say requirements of each brand that comes in. If I don't like the content that was submitted for a bounty, I would be able to review it as a brand, and I can choose to not pay for that content. So maybe I can give an example of that.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Essentially,
Yeah, because I assume that sometimes there'll be people who just like spamming, right? Spamming to get paid, or
Exactly, exactly. So
because if there's incentives, then I guess there will be spammers, right? Yeah.
exactly. If people essentially got paid for all the content that they posted, and regardless of what content it would be, then yes, it would be very low quality content. But in this case, if we set restrictions, or if the brand says, no, I don't like this content, it's very low effort, they can decide to not pay for that content, and then they would have to um, essentially do better next time, the creator. So we want to encourage high quality content for all of the creators that submit content. So making sure that the engagement is high, making sure that the content is well developed, making sure that the incentives line up with the work that is provided. Yeah. I can answer any questions if you have about the interface. And we're looking to also include referral.
Yeah, I think.
Mhm.
Mm.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, look into go ahead. Okay, referral.
Yeah. We're looking to introduce.
Yeah, I think the interface seems.
Oh, there might be a delay. Sorry about that.
Oh, sorry. I just meant this. I just meant, yeah. Oh, good. Oh, good. I just meant to say that I think the interface looks very clean actually, and looks very nice. And this is live, right? On what chain is this on? Is this on Metis, I suppose?
Yeah. Right now it's on the Metis chain, so Metis Andromeda,
Mm.
and later on we're planning
Yeah.
to expand onto other blockchains. But right now, we want to start the with the lowest costing solution in terms of transaction fees, because right now we're
Mm.
issuing micropayments, and so
Okay.
this can be from $20 to
Mm.
$5 to $2. So obviously, if we do this on Ethereum and we spend $20 to send $5, it's not a good business model. But in this case, we're spending
Yeah.
roughly like,
It's not correct.
yeah, we're spending like a cent to send transactions.
I see. So sounds like the gas on Metis is pretty similar to like on Polygon in a way. Yeah, very cheap
Yeah, exactly.
and very easy to people to use. Yeah. Nice. And how many people are in your team right now building
Yeah,
this?
we have around 6 people, and a few developers, so me included. I developed the overall architecture. We had help from another firm to develop some of the smart contracts, and then we are building out like the entire interface, to interact and interface with these smart contracts as well. So the way that it's done and set up is entirely permissionless.
Mm.
So we ideally want it so that
Mm.
anyone will be able to come in and create their own campaign and essentially leverage these influencers that produce content for their own personal campaign. So whether I'm launching like a product related to crypto, or whether I'm launching a product related to maybe like food or fashion or sports. So ideally we can match the influencers that are interested in specific categories to brands that are looking to promote specific things.
Okay. Got it. Which part of this application has a smart contract component in it? I mean, if I have to take a guess, I would guess that it's probably the payment to the influencer, right? But I'm sure you know better than I do.
Yeah. So whenever um, someone submits a bounty, they send a
Mm.
transaction to the contract. This transaction activates their stream, and so they're able to get rewards based on when they submitted. And in this way, they're able to get rewarded at a when they submitted, and it's all calculated by the smart contract. So everything is automated in this way. So typically, similar systems are tracked by people, and then they have like a weighting of like how many engagements you got for the tweet, how many views you got, and then they have like a multiplier, but they have their own like spreadsheet that they track. It gets very messy. We wanted to just create a simple way to create these bounties and like what kind of content we'd want to incentivize, and a way to track all of these submissions in one. And that's calculated by the smart contract. And then also like this benefits the creator as well, because a lot of other platforms, for example, like I think so Gitcoin has a bit of a different model, as well as Dwork. They come in as I create a bounty, people submit the things for the bounty, but then it has to go through a manual review process, and then only after, if they decide that the content is good, then they get paid for that. But a lot of these bounties are actually old, and nobody is actually getting rewarded for any of the content that they're submitted. In this way, this guarantees that when the end date is reached, when the award time is reached, that if you weren't slashed for your submission, you would get, as a creator, the full amount that you've contributed. So, and the only way that you'd get slashed if you produce work that's low quality, low effort, that's not worthy of essentially payment. So we created a system that rewards creators. So essentially a creator first approach, but a way that brands can also come in and review the submissions before they pay for them. So in a sense, creators are guaranteed to get paid unless they get slashed. So it's an optimistic way of rewarding people, rather than the other models like Gitcoin and Dwork, which are pessimistic, is that you have to submit, I have to review, I have to approve, and then you get paid. In this case, you submit, in the case for Koris, you submit, if I like the submission, nothing else happens, and you get paid. So it's a bit of an easier way for creators to get rewarded. Less of a manual process for payment guarantees.
That makes sense. Yeah, I think that. But then, how? I think you mentioned earlier there was some certain keywords, right? That producer or sorry, the brand, right? Brand want to include in there. And is there any particular like numbers, as in numerical requirement for how many impressions, how many interaction? Is that was that built into the smart contract? So I think those are like my two questions
So
regarding that.
right here, the requirements of included keywords as well as views. So they need to have at least this keyword inside of their tweet. So in this case, for Krypton, he had the @metastao keyword, and then Pseudo Republic had @metastao. So in order for this content to be accepted, it has to include that keyword within the tweet. In addition, in order for this content to be accepted, it has to pass the minimum view requirement. And we can see this submission right here. We can also see that it did in fact pass the 50 view requirement. It actually had like a lot more engagement. There also can be ways that you can set engagement requirements. So they need to reach maybe at a certain engagement rate, or they need to have X amount of likes for their tweets. But we wanted to keep the barrier of entry a bit low so that people can submit to the platform and then get rewarded for their submissions. But you can, technically speaking, set a higher reward rate and maybe have a higher minimum requirement. So they need to have, instead of 50 views, 1,000 views. And then they would be able to submit and get rewarded based on their submission. And it has to have at least 1,000 views.
Got it. And I'm gonna follow up with a technical question here because I'm really, my Web3 mind is like spinning right now. For the, like, for example, for the keyword, right, and then also the number of views, like, are these actually like parameters that's passed into and then it be executed by the smart contract for like true and false, right? Is that how it works, or is it a handle? I guess my question is it handled from a blockchain smart contract perspective, or is it actually handled on the, I don't know, Web2 way?
So
for the keywords and the number of views.
Yeah. We use what Uniswap uses, permit to style permissions. When using Uniswap right now, you don't have to pay a gas fee for every approval that you do for the token. So right now, if you go into Uniswap, you can sign a transaction that allows you to send a specific amount of currency and then executes it on and like swaps it in that way. That might have been a bit confusing. Let's put it into this perspective. So on our backend, we actually check the tweet. Does this have the included keyword? And does this have the minimum views? When that check passes on our backend, we enable the transaction to go through with that permit to relay. So the user would send a transaction, and then we would enable that transaction to be sent to the contract after these checks are done. So in this way, we can specify any number of criteria before that transaction can be sent.
Yeah.
And the same way that Uniswap operates, in that you need to approve the swap amount, the same check, and it's a gasless way. So you need to just send the transaction, it approves it, and then it sends it to the actual contract, and then you will get that reward rate at that time.
Got it. Yeah. Thank you for the explanation. Yeah, I think it's very clear. So it sounds like your backend is actually doing the work of checking first. So I guess creators and influencers, they can only submit after they have passed the requirements, right? Because I mean, ideally, they want to make sure that they already have certain views. Okay.
Exactly. So it
makes sense.
It's
Awesome.
you have to prove it before you submit it, and then yeah. So that way, the requirements are all clear. It's presented, and we hope that this can be a fair and equitable way of rewarding creators as well as brands getting the value that they would like. Because we've seen a lot of influencers getting paid for posting like one tweet. But these influencers are mega macro influencers that have hundreds of thousands of followers. But we don't see a lot of these micro and nano influencers being paid for the content that they're producing, even though it is high quality content. And so hopefully with this platform, we can have brands utilize micro and nano influencers and get high quality, engaging content produced for each brand.
That makes sense. Yeah. And what are your definition of micro and nano influencers?
These are influencers with between 0 to 10,000 followers. Of course, probably not zero, maybe 500 to 10,000. So people that are active within the crypto ecosystem or any ecosystem that produce content that don't have enough followers um, to justify brands coming and reaching out to them and saying, "Hey, we want you to post a tweet for $100 or something like that." Instead, they can use Koris as a means to work their way up to more followers into areas that they're already interested in. We have a lot of crypto bounties or crypto um, campaigns that have occurred, and so we see that this type of system that matches creators to the what they're interested in has been very successful. So people are already interested in posting about crypto topics. Now they're just getting paid to do so or incentivized in this way. But yeah.
Nice. I like that. Yeah. I think your platform somehow remind me a lot of like the Zeally, which is one of those, Web3. But yeah, Zeally is like more directly toward the consumer, and this is or the end user, right? And yours is more towards the influencers.
Exactly.
You mentioned earlier you were taking the bootcamp, right? In ZK bootcamp. Are you planning to introduce any or you using any ZK related features for your app in the future?
Very good question. Uh, for this application, there may be a way that we can utilize it. Right now, I want to keep it as simple as possible. I know like ZK can be included in most applications. It's just right now developing circuits and um, essentially you need a specific purpose for it to um, be a part of the system. So one specific purpose would be privacy, for example. If let's say um, we do have a privacy by default as well in our submissions. So regular users can't see the submissions that occur on the platform. So only admins can see those submissions. But um, if we did have a way that you can maybe like reveal your submissions, but at the same time it's managed by like a backend. It's not really on the smart contract. The only real information that gets relayed to the smart contract
Mm.
is the address and when the address submitted the content. Or sorry, when the address made the transaction. So you don't actually see this content associated with the address. We keep that on our own database. Um, so there isn't a reason for us to use ZK in the application, but the reasons might be that maybe in the future, I can post the amount of engagements, let's say, that I've collected over the course of time, and say that, hey, I've gotten over 20,000 engagements, but you don't know who I am, what my specific Twitter handle is, but you know that I got over 20,000 engagements. So brands can come in and say, hey, I would like to use your service. You seem to have a lot of engagements, but I don't know like who you are, and I don't really care. All I care about is getting uh, people to know my content. So there can be that application, but obviously we want to keep it simple, and ZK can get pretty complex, especially developing these types of circuits. So
Mm.
we want to keep it simple, and then maybe later introduce that complexity if needed. But yeah.
I see. Okay, yeah, that totally makes sense. Yeah, that's Cool, exciting. Yeah, I look forward to when your product has that new feature or not. But yeah, sounds like a great product. Um, for now, how many? Can you tell us a bit more about the traction? Like, how many influencer have you gathered? What's how? I guess I'm not sure what metric you use. Like, do you use like maybe how much the total value of the campaigns or whatever metrics that you use to measure your company?
Yeah. Right now we have over, I would say, more than $3,000 was distributed across our campaigns. We've been live since, I would say, July. And again, still in beta, so it's a targeted group of creators. We're looking to open it up for more creators as well as more brands, and we're looking to make things a bit more permissionless. We do have 150 over 150 creators in our Telegram group. So they're pretty active for different campaigns that they're interested in. But of course, always looking to grow and expand with the creators as well as the brands. So we do have an upcoming referral program that is planning to reward creators and brands that bring in both brands and creators. So we hope that through this introduction of a permissionless application and then where people can earn by referring people, we can create a system where everyone benefits. So people that are participating, people that are referring, and then hopefully, with more people participating, with more people growing it, there's more revenue opportunities for this.
I see. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I think a lot of tech companies are always aiming for the viral loop, right? Create some sort of viral product, so then have people sharing. One user share to like two, and two share to four, right? So on and so forth. So yeah, I hope that you get some of that rolling as well.
Exactly. Got to pay it forward.
For your Yeah, exactly, exactly. For your current company, I mean, it sounds like you guys have been building this product for a while. Have you had any fundraising yet? Do you have any plan for future fundraising for this company?
Yeah, we had funding from the Metastyle Foundation, so we got roughly 1 million in seed funding, and right now we're in a good position
Nice.
for like we took it like a little bit further. Like I think we're one of the first crypto native applications, like things that use crypto that are not specifically for crypto people, although of course we still have crypto based audiences, but we're trying to expand even past into more of like a Web2
Yeah.
audiences. We had a couple of PR agencies that are utilizing services for like AI tech publications. So we're still in the technology space, but we plan to expand and extend past that.
Mm.
And yeah, in terms of just the fundraising, in terms of just the status of everything, like we're currently in revenue, so we make money based on the campaigns that are created and how much is actually distributed by the platform. So in this case, like we're getting a good amount of traction. Of course, always looking for more. That's why we have the referral codes and all of that being created very shortly. But yeah. Hopefully that answers a bit of that.
Yeah. For sure, it does. So I guess your business model is running like similar to a platform, right? So I suppose one of the main business model is that you get a portion of the revenue. Is that correct? And do you have any other sort of business model in mind or planning to run?
Yeah, so with the methodology of like keeping it simple, what we do and how we make money specifically. I'll actually go back to this screen because it actually represents it a little bit better. The brands
Sure.
would deposit some initial amount. So in this case, 30 metas was deposited, and then the 23.79
Yeah.
metas is actually streamed to individual creators, and this amount that's remaining essentially gets sent back to the brand that has created the campaign. So we only take a fee off of the overall streamed bounty, and the remaining bounty is sent back to the brand. So this is like the unspent amount. So we operate as a business model entirely performance based. So if you don't like a stream and you don't pay for it, we don't earn money from that. So we want to make sure that all of the submissions that are present and that were provided are created with value to the brands. Because again, like if no payments get distributed through the platform, then we don't get paid. So our goal is quality of the submissions, and we want to make sure that we reach that audience as well.
Nice. Yeah, that makes sense for sure. Yeah, very performance based. Yeah, somehow I mean, got to remind me a lot of the Google ads and maybe Facebook ads as well, right? Like you specify how many impressions you want and how many clicks and things like that, and then you can
Exactly.
get more.
And
Makes sense. So sounds like
oh yeah, we're also like that programmatic model. So that's what, when I say programmatic, that's actually what it means is you specify these different types of details, and then the application essentially distributes rewards based on that the criteria that you define and the posts that you want to pay for. And so in that way, we operate similar to like Twitter ads, Facebook ads, Google ads, in that model. Programmatic marketing, in essence, or programmatic influencer marketing.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Very niche. I think you probably like the first company that I heard of that actually doing this. I don't think I know of any other competitors. I mean, if you know any other competitors, let me know. Or any other one who's doing similar. That'd be
Same
quite
with
interesting.
me. If you know any, like this is a unique idea, but it's unique in the sense where
Yeah.
other companies like Zeely, Layer 3, Galaxy, they are doing this, but for the consumer. We're doing this model for the influencer, for the
Yeah.
one step below, one step above. And so the idea here is that
Yeah.
influencers would be able to attract the community, which would be better retained in the ecosystem rather than spending some amounts in layer 3 or Zeely or Galaxy and then getting people to come in, they grab the rewards, and then they don't engage with the brand after those rewards are depleted. So in this sense, even if the influencer doesn't engage, they will bring in new users, which will, through this organic reach, and then those users, since they didn't come with a profit incentive, they would be more inclined to stay within these communities.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, very, very niche. So your company has around 6 people. You have raised, you told me, $1 million US dollars, or made this foundation. Things that you have a working product, working revenues, also a group of many influencers and some brands that are also onboarding, right? So now I want to know, what are some of the challenges that your company faces? I'm sure for like any other Web3 company, there must be some challenges, right?
Yeah. I would say the big challenge that we have is the chicken and egg problem. Is like you need to have data, have the analytics statistics before you can convince other brands or even creators to come on board and use the application. So it's essentially you need to have the data before you can get people to make the data. So a lot of it is communicating that idea of um, we've done the research, we have the data, we have the results from the campaigns that we've done for the campaign that for the brands that we did work with. So the goal is that we want to attract bigger brands. With bigger brands comes more influencers. With more influencers comes more brands. And so the hardest part is trying to keep that cycle going, and then continuously providing opportunities for these creators. Because if there's not enough campaigns or not enough bounties for creators to do, they're going to be less engaged, they're not going to participate, and then that also impacts the results for these different types of campaigns. So we want to make sure to have that balance between the brands that come on board that use the application, as well as the creators that come on board that want to participate in these campaigns. And yeah, like establishing that balance is one of the hardest things to do. But at the same time, if you create the right incentives and you create and you provide basically like a framework where it's transparent the way that you're getting paid, it's transparent the data that is provided, it's transparent what the results are. I think results speak for themselves, and we're able to attract a lot of brands based on what we've been delivering so far. So just to give like a also insight, so we've been doing roughly for the campaigns that we've done roughly 80 times more engagement on average than a typical Twitter ad at 3.5 times cheaper for a comparable Twitter ad as well. So with this metrics, with this data that we've accomplished, the goal is that we can like take this further into bigger campaigns, and that brands would be able to use us as the means to deliver their own marketing materials. And in addition, we don't want to be the marketing firm in the midst of all this. We'd rather, and we've done some of the research, I think 70% of brands actually prefer to do their marketing in-house. We want to create this application as a means to for either marketing firms or brands to use this tool for their own communities, and just like an easy way to track and distribute rewards to the micro nano influencers. So hopefully that describes a little bit of the challenges, as well as like where the opportunities are and where we're trying to direct ourselves.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I can see that. Just like any other platform type of technology company, right? You always have to figure out which one would be first. So it's like for Airbnb, they focus on the host more than for the travelers, right? So I guess for yours, I mean, which side would you say is more important, the brands or the influencer? Which side do you want to get onboarding
So
first?
the brands come with the money, so that's the easiest
Hmm.
decision. So the brands are the ones that we should be attracting. But again, as the brands come with one question, is that are the influencers impactful? Are they effective? Do they produce the results for my brand?
Mm.
And so we need to have both the strong influencers to attract strong brands. And so that's what we're doing with
Mm.
the campaigns that we're posting, is that we want to encourage people to create a high level of quality for the submissions, because that's what brands care about, is that they want to have a way to get as much engagement for their content and get the most amount of results. But the only way to do that is to see the results that were previously generated, and we need to keep the that data, um, and reward influencers that provide the most impactful results. So to put it simply, like, we're targeting the brands or the marketers, but in order to do that, they care about the influencer. So we have to target the influencer first to target the marketers. And so
Yeah.
we've got like a good community. We've got like people that subscribe to the vision, and they see this as like a means to earn reliable income off of their submissions and things that they enjoy doing, right? They enjoy creating content. They enjoy posting and diving deep and researching topics and explaining it to people. And so if they can earn off of that content, then that provides a good opportunity for them to continuously provide value. And so they've demonstrated themselves as being high quality contributors for different brands as well.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I think that totally makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. Sounds like you do have to focus more on the influencer first, right? And then, yeah. Well, I guess a little bit more emphasis influencer than on the brands itself. But of course, eventually the brand will be the one who paying the money. Awesome, exciting. Yeah, actually, now I'd like to switch gear a bit and just talk about in about Web3 in general. But yeah, feel free to reference anything from your company as well too. Um, Web3 and also maybe Web2, because we're also talking like influencer marketing. I guess my first question is how do you think influencer marketing will evolve in the next like 3 to 5 years?
Yeah. Influencer marketing is a growing field. And we see that if you go to like influencermarketingreport.com, they publish like reports every year. And we can see consistently over the past 5 years, it's been growing at an average of 36% more, 36% more per year in terms of the market value. So right now it's I think a little bit over 20 billion. And that's including COVID as well. So I know like a lot of industries were affected by COVID, but there was still that consistent increase over time. So I, in short, am bullish for influencer marketing, because nothing has the influencer marketing is more effective than traditional marketing for small to medium sized businesses, because the small to medium sized businesses have a limited budget and they need to spend it on essentially results for conversions. And the best way is through product referrals. And the only way that you can do that is either you get customers that are happy that are referring other customers, or you get influencers that are willing to review a product and promote it to their audience. Other means like ads are less effective because, one, I think we got hundreds of millions of people that are using ad block that see no ads on their timelines, and so you're already getting a lot of the a dwindling amounts of people are actually seeing these ads, and then even less are actually interacting with them because they've already seen like the ads and they're like, I don't know, this is not relevant to me. Although they're some are a little bit relevant, like if you're going through like Instagram, you see like all the Instagram ads, but I think the ones that are effective are the ones that are referred to by influencers, and so we're seeing like a lot of marketers being happy with the performance of influencer marketing campaigns. I think 93% are that influencer marketing is as impactful or even more impactful than their traditional marketing counterpart. And I think 9 out of 10 marketers have used influencer marketing before. So it's just going to be something that's going to be part of every single marketing firm's and company's toolkit. So we plan to be hopefully one of the tools that every company can use to promote their brands.
I see. Yeah, impressive. I like how you actually know the market so well that you can even cite like the data from the like how how many percentage. Yeah, that's awesome. So it seems you really know your market really well. That's impressive. So then I guess it would be another question. It'd be a similar question, but for Web3 in general. Where do you think Web3 is heading for the next in the next few years?
I think Web3 has enough infrastructure, even though investments right now are focused on like mostly infrastructure applications with like middleware and everything, applications that talk to other applications, bridging, all that stuff, messaging, cross messaging. I honestly think that those applications are building for developers that are already in the Web3 ecosystem. But right now, the Web3 ecosystem is expanding and extending past that. So right now we have a lot of talk of real world assets, especially in like the DeFi space. So we have like MakerDAO coming in with their own type of like they're investing in like US bonds. And in addition, you see the social fi, essentially for friend tech being posted, and that's also using influencers as a means to promote the application. And so I think with the space, how things are going is that, and with it being more accessible, the way that Web3 is going is that we'll have a lot more consumer applications. Right now, it's a very scary part in terms of just like how exactly like, oh, the experience for Web3 isn't like ideal. You still have to use like a Chrome extension to use a lot of Web3. Like it's but especially like the progress that we've made within our own application, you don't need to have MetaMask. You don't need to have all this stuff. You can we have a built-in connection with Web3 Auth, so you can use your Google account and then still submit content. And then in this way, since you don't need a crypto wallet, or you don't need like to manage a seed phrase or anything like that, we'll see many more people being onboarded and start using these crypto applications. But in order to do that, you need to abstract the crypto away. You need to make it so that people don't know which blockchain they're using. People don't know that they're even using a crypto app, but they just know that, well, I got airdropped some tokens and now I can start my journey into the Web3 space. And so I think that's where, and then of course WorldCoin and everything happening there, where that's their philosophy. It's like we airdrop enough
Yeah.
people, and then we'll get more people to come in and use crypto apps. So I think a lot of this social sense with more people being onboarded will be the future of Web3, not just the infrastructure, the blockchain, the bridging, cross messaging. That's important, but that's not what's going to bring people into the space. That's going to keep the nerds busy, but obviously you need to get everyone else involved in it as well.
I see. Wow, I think you touched on quite a lot of different big topics in Web3, right? We have consumer dApps, we have infra bridging. I also mentioned a bit about RWA. Personally, I'm very bullish on real world asset tokenization because I think that's just a huge potential set, right? I mean, look at the whole market cap of crypto as a whole, and how much more how much more things, assets in real life we can bring on chain, right? So I'm just very bullish on that aspect. But yeah, I and then you mentioned an excellent point about how to bring more user in. So I guess which naturally bring me to the next question. My show signature question is, how can we as Web3 native people, right, bring 1 billion people into crypto?
Not focus on crypto. like the best way to bring more people into crypto is to abstract the crypto away. I like, because if people come in knowing that, oh well, I have to learn this new thing, I have to do this I have to change the way that I'm working. Most people don't want to change. Most people want to do things exactly the same. But if you create just the experience where it's seamless, it just works, it's just a part of your flow. In addition, if you provide the correct incentives for people to maybe step out of their comfort zone and try out new things or new tools, that's the best way. It's just abstracting the crypto and then incentivizing what you can't abstract. And then that's the easiest way to bring in the next billion. But of course, I haven't brought in the next billion, but I would think, like, just thinking from the people that I've interacted with, mostly non crypto people as well as crypto people, it's like we're living in our own bubble of like, I understand everything, but how can nobody else understand it? So because, like, you're part of the 1% that can,
Yeah.
but there's the 99 that can't, and so you have to think as you were just someone that just didn't know what a Chrome extension is, and just start from ground zero and go like, all right,
Yeah.
like, how would you start using a layer 2 solution, and then that's, and if it's like more than 2 steps, then yeah, I think that's the solution.
Yeah, that's probably too long. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. That's an excellent answer. Yeah, and I do hope that more and more Web3 builder will start to abstract away some of the crypto things, crypto UI UX experience, or not the UI itself, but the UX, right? And make it easier. Yeah, but make the UI somewhat familiar to them, because I think we as human, right, we are like creatures of habits, right? And I think we've been formed, a lot of these habits that form on the web have been done by the big company, or the FANGs, right? How we log in, how we like enter our password, email, and things like that, right? We've kind of conditioned, over like so many years, right? I would say over now like 2 decades already using Web2 products, and those companies, they have already perfected the art to the sense that, like, I'm sure you probably heard of the joke, like one Google engineer like just changing what is the color of a button, right, on like that, and then he get paid, right? Yeah. So they have already like perfected the art of UI UX to that point, right? So, and then obviously we as Web3, hopefully one day we will get to that
Well,
same
hopefully
level as
we'll
well.
have the right color of
So
buttons
yeah, looking forward to
in
that.
in Web3 as well. That's what we're trying to
Yeah,
do as well.
yeah. I do hope we have the right color too. I don't. Yeah, sure, for sure. Yeah, I don't know what color it is, but yeah, for sure we will need some nice color, I guess. Yeah. Anyway, interesting. Yeah, thank you. So I guess which brings us to close to the closing of the show. Do you have any advice for future entrepreneur who are trying to build their own Web3 company?
Ooh, advice. The best advice that I've taken, right? I like typically it's like, oh, well, like, you hear a lot. It's like you just do it. Just just do it. Like you can't, like, I guess, this Shia LaBeouf. It's the you can't abstract away
Yeah.
um just the raw aspect of like going and doing something. But the hardest thing is to do it. It's the grind,
The
yeah.
grinding,
But
right?
the hardest thing is to do it consistently,
Yeah.
right? Like maybe like you can go to a hackathon and you can like code something out and then like have like a proof of concept. Get some like bounties for that and then call it a day. But if it's like the applications that are used, that make money, that have a user base, are the ones that only come from just trying something, trying it again until it sticks and works. And another thing is that I've had a lot of discussions with like the chorus idea, like essentially knowing the product, knowing the market, knowing that aspect essentially better than everyone else. Um, I only got to this place because I wanted to challenge that idea where other people were like, no, 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 uh-uh. It's like, and I'm like, how? And they couldn't give an answer. They just said, no, 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 it just won't work. So that aspect of, okay, you don't have an answer, and I have this this theory, but I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna do it. So just because someone says, no, it only works in this way. Well, how do you know? They've never done it. They've never experimented with it. They've never done it themselves. So how do they know? So that's the other piece of advice. Don't take anyone's advice. so so it's yeah, you can just forget everything I said. So it's yeah, like the right amount of like challenge is just like, it goes a long way. And
Hmm.
I guess if you're motivated by proving people wrong, then you'll probably make it. But don't always think like the best solution is like, oh, I should listen to that guy because he sounds smart. No, don't listen to anyone until you figure it out yourself,
Hmm.
and then you're like, okay,
Yeah.
then I got it. So if you're on the quest for knowledge, then you'll make it as well. Um, so hopefully that summarizes the point of just do it and don't listen to anybody. And
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think you've raised a very good point in the startup world about the contrarian idea, right, or contrarian point. Because I think some big startups, I mean, that was, that before they became big, right? They also just had this some idea. Some of them may sound very contrarian, right? But until and then they had to also prove many people wrong, and because they were like way ahead of their time, right? I think, I mean, because you can take I don't know, Airbnb and Uber, some of the example like that, right? And then even Tesla, right? Tesla from Elon Musk, right? I think he's just his idea, like, who would believe that, electric cars would be a thing, right? It would be a future thing, and also be like so prevalent nowadays, right? So sometimes I guess in life you do have the need to have those bold decision and make some contrarian ideas or build some
yeah,
new things. So yeah, thank you for the advice. It's awesome. Where can people follow you? Do you have any social media handles or website? Yeah,
yeah.
feel free
I
to say.
tried to keep my social media consistent across basically like everything. So it's on Discord, Telegram, Twitter. So it's at Pavel _ Sinel. So, or I guess another way is like Pavel Sinel. So hopefully that can be. I think people can maybe hopefully spell my name.
Okay.
But
Yeah. It's actually simple enough. I'm gonna put it in the show note
perfect.
actually below. Yeah, I'll make sure to put that in the show notes so people follow. I'll also include the website and maybe the links for the app if you have any. Yeah, then include any of those notes also in the show notes. So yeah, so people can find and follow you. Yeah, Pavel _ Sinel. That's simple enough. So thank you again for today. It's been a really amazing discussion. It's been really fun and talking to you, learning a lot about your work. I wish you the best of luck in your future work and your
Awesome,
company.
yeah, and thank you for asking these questions. Like it's also good to recap a lot of what the process was to get to where I am right now, and so it's like a lot of the time you just never really you always think in the moment, but then you're like, okay, but what about the how you got here?
Yeah.
And yeah, definitely a journey, never a straight line, right? Like it's.
And we are back to my studio. Did you guys enjoy the 7th episode of Colors of Web3 and Entrepreneurship? This has certainly been one of the longer video to record, but it has been nevertheless very enjoyable for both me and my guest. For the next episode, we will actually upload a mini episode where we interview a YouTuber who's living in Japan and she's trying to utilize Web3 technology for her communities. Anyway, if you did like this episode, please give a like and subscribe. It would mean a lot to me. Thank you for listening and looking forward to see you next time.